thank you very much to our audience for being here, even if it's night in Italy. But now we go directly to Japan, and I would like to introduce you my two next guests, Kazuya Kawasaki and Ryota Kamio. Hi Kazuya-san, hi Ryota-san.
Ciao.
Hi.
Hi, good morning. Thanks for being here today.
Thank
And
you.
let me introduce you a little bit to our audience. Kazuya-san is the CEO of Simflux Co. Limited, and he is also a Waseda University lecturer. He is a speculative fashion designer, and he comes from the town of Niigata, and then he moved in the next years to Tokyo, let's say to follow his dreams, and then he will describe them better than me. And the second guest with me is Ryota Kamio. He is the director of Republic. He's a designer and researcher based in Fukuoka in the south of Japan. After graduating in human geography in Tokyo, he moved to Barcelona, where he researched on urban issues for 5 years, and then he switched to designing urban solutions. As I said, he currently works for the Think and Do Tank Republic, and he is trying to transform the south of Japan into a sort of circular economy, let's say. And thanks for being here, and let me introduce the statement you proposed for our conversation, that is, we understand the design practice as an intervention to a crystallized piece of wicked problems that we, our society and planet, are going to face in the future. Circular design is one of the interventions that we chose to disrupt the linear economy based on global capitalism. And you also highlighted 3 hashtags that are circular design, planetary approach, and rural future. And I would like to add also a fourth hashtag, a fourth keyword, that is sustainability.
Mm-hmm.
And especially concerning this word and this concept, the concept of sustainability, Katsuya-san and Ryota-san, you may want to share to the audience your experience, your professional experience, especially how sustainability has represented an important point of view in your professional activities. Maybe we can start with Katsuya-san.
Okay. I will my screen. I will share my screen. Can you see me?
Yes.
Can you see?
Yes.
Okay. I will introduce some my design project. My name is Kazuya Kawasaki from Tokyo, Japan. I work as the CEO of Simflux and speculative fashion designer. My activity in sustainable design began in my master's program. I was a student of a rare graduate school in Japan, where I can study information technology and environmental studies at the same time. So I worked on some fashion projects that were based on design research. The photo I'm showing you now shows me and my friend. We were surrounded by internet-connected sewing machines and fabric printers in the lab. And we are exploring how those machines and technologies could be used to contribute to sustainable fashion. In this context, I focus on biomaterials that can be grown on a DIY basis. There are many bio designers working today, but in 2017, they were very rare. I set up a kiddie pool in my apartment at that time, and it's crazy. And started growing giant cellulose textile from bacteria. I'm not a biologist, so I use a combination of biohacking tools and experimental techniques. But eventually, with the help of biologists, I developed a jacket made of biocellulose and dyeing methods using bacteria dyes. Now I'm working with a university research institute to develop not only the cellulose materials, but fungi and mycelium materials. Anyway, I'm a fashion designer, but I wanted to design not only beautiful garments, but also biodegradable and eco-friendly materials. After my research on biomaterials, I met some great friends in the next job who were working on artificial intelligence and 3D technology. Through years of collaboration with them, we are able to launch a prototype called Algorithmic Tube. Algorithmic Tube is software for creating sustainable clothing. Using this software, designers can automatically generate garments with geometric silhouettes in 3D CAD software. This is inspired by the kimono pattern technique. Kimonos are composed of rectangular fashion patterns, which produce very little fabric waste. Our goal is to eventually make all clothing manufacturing zero waste through algorithms and 3D technology. In 2019, our prototype won the Global Change Award from the H&M Foundation. This event inspired us to found a company called Synflux, and we are working with international outdoor brands, research institute, and fashion designers to implement this system. That's all. It is very nice to meet you. Thanks.
I clearly see the sustainability in your project, absolutely. Also, this idea of creating fashion clothes from something like bacteria, or to try to implement a digital system that aims to eliminate the fashion waste through the artificial intelligence. That was very, very, very interesting. Thanks for sharing, Kazuya-san.
Thank
Ryota,
you.
what about you? What can you tell us about your job and sustainability?
Yes, thank you. And as Silvia introduced a little bit before, I joined the Republic in 2019, and before that, I was in Barcelona for 5 years. And the last year of my Barcelona life, I was in AYAC, Faba Barcelona, where I learned design through Fab City principles, basically. And I think my major has been like a urban design research. So I was a researcher before becoming a designer, and I think that one of the unique things of my experience is that I saw design practices in urban design scale always. So Fab City was born in Poblenou district in Barcelona. So you automatically have to think about design practices and theories in always like an urban scale, which has opened a lot of doors for me. And now I'm back in Japan. Actually, I'm not from Fukuoka. I'm from Yokohama near Tokyo.
Yeah.
But I work on a digital circular city project in Kagoshima, South Japan, and which is really interesting because I apply a lot of sort of like human-centered approach to circular design or circular economy, which is something that I got from Barcelona, because as I said, I was working always on an urban scale. So, the city is where the people live. So you cannot think about design practices and theory without the people. So yeah, I think that's sort of my experience.
I totally agree with the last sentence you said. One of my masters, it's Andrea Branzi, and he used to say, if we don't design for people, for whom we design for? And so I totally agree that, of course, if human beings are not the focus of our work, we are wasting time somehow. And Catching from your words, I understood that another important concept which emerged from them is the one of circular economy, or more specifically, the one of circular design. This is the expression you used both in your talks and that you highlighted as a hashtag for us. What do you mean by that word? Would you like to introduce that to our audience? Who wants to start?
I think that circular design is about designing services, systems, and processes to generate products, sustainable products that are good for the natural environment. In order to take on the challenges of circular design, for example, to transform the manufacturing process of fashion, it is not enough to interact only with designers. Through collaboration with diverse stakeholders such as business managers, artisans, material researchers, and activists, circular designers must design a comprehensive system that includes not only products but also materials, production, users, and disposal, I think.
Yeah, I totally agree too. I think circular design is, well, it's a broad term, but I think when we put it in really short, I think it's all about transforming the supply chain of today's production, and also like transforming the perception, our perception towards the consumption. So as Kazuya mentioned, I think it's not only about products and the people who are around a product design, but we have to connect with other stakeholders around this supply chain.
Yeah, I think that as designers, it's also the title of our edition. No designer is an island. So if we don't foster collaboration between different skills, different perspectives, I think we wouldn't be able to reach such objectives that we have in mind, and we wouldn't be able to foster new perspective, new fields, a new horizon, let's say. Otherwise, we always do the same, and repeat ourselves. Of course, we need to have some external hints in order to make our project more feasible and more interesting for the people. Absolutely. And I think that Ryota-san is also working on a specific project in Kagoshima City that involves deeply the concept of circular design. And it involves this concept according to local communities and production processes, as you already have mentioned them. Would you like maybe to briefly introduce it a little bit to our audience?
Yes. So actually, Kazuya and I work on the same project, which is called Satsuma Sendai City within Kagoshima Prefecture. And I think one of the unique things that we work on is that we see like circular design or circular economy from the perspectives of production rather than consumption. Because I was in Europe for a long time, and I saw a lot of like policies about circular economy in big cities like Amsterdam, Barcelona, or probably Helsinki, Milan too. But often I recognize that they deal with consumption part rather than production part. But actually, when you think about like just waste, waste is generated a lot more in production than the consumption. So I think Kagoshima is really interesting because it's home to a lot of agricultural activities in Japan. It's sort of like kitchen for Japanese kitchens. So I think it's a really great point and space to rethink about the supply chain from like the production part.
Yeah, that's great. And how's the involvement of the local community? Do you both feel that they are already deeply involved, or was something that took a little bit more of effort?
Well, I think we're working on it for sure, and I think I must say that it's still kind of far from the achievement that we expect. But I think this is where exactly designers can intervene, because our topic we're dealing with is really complicated. It's a big problem, But I think designers could, let's say, work on different scales in order to share those problems with the citizens. So yeah, we're working on it. That's probably my answer.
And what's your point of view, Kazuya? Do you face that also?
Yeah. As one of the expert advisors on circular design and design research, I helped design the research theme for the Satsuma Future Commons. It was my job to communicate the overall vision of the activity to the public and to provoke discussion. I think speculation is important for circular project because sustainability is such a complex issue. It was difficult to communicate easily to the local public, but I think provoking discussion and speculating future is so important for the circular design project. Anyway, I enjoyed working with cooperative local citizens and Ryota. I enjoyed. From now on, as a circular designer, I would like to work with local citizens and local businesses to implement circular system.
Absolutely. You know, in the last months, I was working with my students of the master, and we were thinking about a topic that is a sort of related with the things you were already describing. We let them work with some pieces of an installation that was made for fashion, and that was a sort of waste now because the exhibition was finished and the structure was not that kind of structure that can be recycled or made in recycled materials or something like this. And so we started to think with the students that probably one of the next steps of education in my side, but of designers, I would say more than that, is that we could start to think the project from the beginning. I mean, if we project a structure, we not only can work with sustainable materials in order to recycle them, but we could also think that the things that we design, if they're not made with sustainable materials, we should think also about a second use, a third use, a fourth use of them. And so to try to insert into the mind of the young designer of the future that probably we not only have sustainable materials, but the project is what makes sustainable the production of something and the consumption, of course, of something. It's something that already happens. But more than that, the production. That was something that you also said in both of your stories, and that's amazing as we agree on that, even if we didn't know each other before. So it seems that, of course, as we said, in the current experiences that you described, the concepts of sustainability and circular economy are linked. As you said, more on the production rather than on the consumption. So maybe we can give a little bit of hints about that topic to the audience as you researched a lot on that. Would you like to start, Ryota?
Yes. So, well, first, I'd like to add a little bit of like the previous topic.
Yeah.
That I think, as you say, production consumption happens really closely in Kagoshima, and I think in their lifestyle there are already a lot of sustainable activities, and I think which is our work as a designer to find those techniques or activities hidden in the production lifestyle. So I think there are a lot of hints to get in order to have a new design. But I think circular design is not only about bringing new materials or creating new materials, but also like taking and deeply seeing, the local activities, because there are many activities have lasted for 100 years. So I think we see a lot of insights from those, let's say, craftsmanships in the countryside of Japan. So I think that's designers' work too. And as for the hints of circular design, is that I think circular design is definitely one of the main themes for us, like next generation designers. And one thing that I've been thinking since I came back from Europe is that when you think about the production to, or let's say the essential production to sustain global demand, it's not really happening in Europe. It's actually happening here in Asia, or maybe in Africa, some other countries. So if we truly think about like innovation and new design theories and practices, I think at least once we should be brave enough to sort of like go out of the box of this big Western design culture in order to explore like new theories and practices. And I think probably Japan is not very productive in compared to other countries in Asia, but I think it's really interesting place to explore that. So what I'm trying to say here is that I like to welcome like you, so many like designers in Europe or in other like in the West to come over here to explore those new design theories and practices.
Absolutely, absolutely. As soon as the borders reopen, I will be ready to come there. We were joking about that in last days.
Yeah.
And what about you, Kazuya-san? Do you want to add something on this topic?
I totally agree with Ryota's opinion, especially craftsmanship and local context is so important for our circular design project. Because, for example, bamboo is the main local industries in Satsuma. This bamboo industries inspired us to accelerate our circular project because bamboo inspired us new possibilities of new material use case or something new technological possibilities. So I think jumping local context is important for circular designers, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. And I granted from your words that probably you would like to mix somehow, both of you, tradition and new technologies. Or is there, in your opinion, a new relationship between tradition and new technology nowadays that you would like to share with future designers?
Yeah, I think our generations, I think, is we inevitably we have to think about like the role of digital technology in design always, and I think we're connected more than ever. And like right now we talk in different continents, and I feel like finally like digital technology has been catching up with like let's say the smooth communication between the continents and countries. So I think we're not trying to let's say to close the loop of this circular economy only in Kagoshima, but we like to connect. But I think that could be happened thanks to the advancement of digital technologies. So we actually see the many traditional activities and arts and crafts, but at the same time, we also think about how to network those skills and materials and technology and techniques with the international community. So I think for us next generation designer, it's really important to think how to make a community based on your design activities and trying to make it like, let's say, a movement. I think that's sort of like a power of digital technology, and that I think lets our design practices more scalable.
Yeah, absolutely. And what about you, Kazuya?
Yeah. In my circular design activities, humankind is not the main actor. Rather, inhuman things such as bacteria, mushrooms, algorithms, and data actively participate in the design processes. Like the conductor of an orchestra, I always try to invite and coordinate diverse inhumans into the creative process. I think that designers and artists in the age of circular design will shift their role as a interface between the natural and the artificial worlds, I think.
That's very, very interesting that you add also non-human factors to the design process. That's really,
Yeah.
I think, something that we should foresee for the future, absolutely. Along with community involvement, revival of the tradition, but in a contemporary way with a sort of add-on from the technology. Also the
Yeah.
non-human factor, absolutely, absolutely. I feel that if this is the view from Japan, is really a completely interesting view for the future.
Yeah.
So we have 3 minutes left. So I would like to ask to both of you if you have some thoughts for future designers, some advices that you would like to share with them for future project or future research.
Well, I think I already kind of mentioned earlier, but I like to welcome you to come over here to experiment new design practices together here in South Japan. And yeah, that's my side.
The best
That's
wish.
advice. Yeah.
The best wish. Cultural mix, yes, is always something that works very well.
Well,
And what about you?
again, speculation is so important for future designers, I think, because sustainability is a future issues for everyone for the future. So we have to think of future's environment and the society and relationship with inhuman and human and so on. So speculate on the radical future is so important for the circular designer, future circular designer, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
great. Thank
Definitely.
you. Thank you very much because we did this. One of you comes from the fashion world, and the other one comes from research in communities and urban design, and we got such an interesting conversation together, touching the very, very different points, but points that have something really in common one next to the other. So thank you very much for being here with me today. It was a very big pleasure to know you and to chat with you in these 30 minutes. And I hope that future designers, as soon as the border will open, will join your research, or you will come to Europe, because I think that we can do bright projects for the future.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Ryota, and thank you very much, Kazuya-san, for being
Thank you.
here. And I hope to meet you super soon again in the future.
Yes, please.
Yes.
Thank you very much.